Welcome to the Michele Roy Show.
Welcome to the Michele Roy Show. I'm delighted to have a wonderful friend, Brenda Warren, with us. She is a solutionist, known as a solutionist, a best-selling author, and also a talk show host, sought-after inspirational speaker, and the creator of the TAPIN Method. She empowers women over 40 to live unapologetically unstoppable lives and create amazing wealth beyond money. Brenda's passion is helping to get you the word out there that living your best life is still possible. Brenda, you're very welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Do you want to talk us a little bit about this? Why are you known as a solutionist? I love that term, by the way.
Well, it started because I kept hearing over and over again that people said I felt like I touched their soul. And one of my clients said, you're like this Soulutionist. And I was like, I love that title. And so it stuck. So I named my company Brenda the Soulutionist because I see things other people often miss. And it is about the soul work. As a minister, I'm often talking to people about their beliefs. They're really deep down beliefs, the ones that they only share with their higher power. So the Solutionist fits for me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Tell us, whereabouts are you right now?
I am in Goldsboro, North Carolina in the United States.
Ooh, and we're talking all the way from Ireland.
Uh-huh.
So amazing. Brenda, not only all these different things that you do, you're also a serial entrepreneur, right? You are, and also veteran, right?
I'm a veteran. Yes, I'm a United States Marine veteran with 20 years of active service. I'm
Wow.
retired now, and I have been an entrepreneur. I grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs, but I had my first licensed business at the age of 9.
That's amazing. A real go-getter. And you have so much life lessons, and I'm so happy to be able to unpack that with you right now. And this not only will be able to help the listeners, because you also share with me personally about your own struggles with chronic pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be amazing for us to be able to unpack that because you're thriving and you look perfectly fine, as we all do, right? But underneath all that struggle, there's also a lot of pain that you go through. So if you can start us out, one tip and suggestion you give to people who are living with chronic pain so that they can keep going.
The main thing is to adjust your mindset. You have to make the shift that allows you to not let the pain define you because the pain is always going to be there. I used to joke that I carried around like luggage, only I have U-Haul trucks because it is massive, it is constant, and it follows me everywhere. But I get to choose when I can park it, when I can move forward, when I can rearrange it, replace it, or just sometimes simply let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important. I think that's such a good way to look at it because it is mindsets, right? What we say to ourselves is how we can program our minds to do better or not do better, depending on how we feel, right? Well, what we say we will end up feeling.
What I discovered early on, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia back in 1993. I didn't even know what that is, and I struggled with even spelling it.
Wow.
But when I was told I was going to live with chronic pain for the rest of my life, I had no idea the journey that I was about to take. And I spent a lot of years feeling sorry for myself, giving in to the pain, laying on couches, taking 22 different medications at the same time, trying to ease and or stop the pain. And then one day it occurred to me that I had choices, something that no one had told me. Just something inside me said, you're choosing this. And I was like, no, I'm not choosing. Yes, you are. And I remember having that internal dialogue, and then I asked some professionals about it. And what I came to understand was that on those days that I said, when you first wake up, and you say, "Oh, it's gonna be a bad day. I'm in so much pain." Guess what? I had a bad day, and I was in even more pain.
Yeah.
But when I began to get up in the morning and do my process, which is deep breathing exercises, reminding myself that I have choices, commanding my day and saying, it's a great day to have a good day.
Yeah.
It's a great day to have a good day. Sometimes it's a great day to have a great day. And then I program myself for that.
Right.
The gift is having the ability to recognize that I set my pain tolerance for that day uh, was game changer for me.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. I love it because you could say this is a great day to have a good day. It's a great day to have a great day.
And
It's true.
here's the thing: it's not just about the words, because I know there's the naysayers that are saying,
Mm,
"Oh, well, she's just saying that's positive affirmation." Yes, it is positive, but our brains are so amazing that
mm,
when we tell ourselves something, it becomes internalized, and our body will do its level best to meet our expectation of self.
yeah. Oh, that's so
And
true.
I expect on a regular basis to manage my pain. Even on those days that I feel like I just can't get out of bed, I don't sit with that thought. I'm like, I I acknowledge the feeling. Right now I feel like I can't get out of bed,
Yeah.
but I have a choice. I'm going to
Mm,
choose to get out of bed, and I'm going to choose to get moving
yes.
until I have control of that pain.
Mm,
Because the reality is, as a mother, when my child was little, there was nothing that was going to keep me from taking care of my baby, even if I had to drag myself to get in that room.
yeah. Yeah.
And those of you that are parents or mothers or just have a pet or something that keeps you going, you know that you may not do it for yourself, but you may start off just by simply uh, understanding your requirement
Mm,
to take care of others. And then you'll move into that space where you realize you have a requirement to take care of self.
yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love it. One of the things that you started doing was just getting up and walking around your driveway. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, I was unfortunately addicted to prescription medication and
Mm,
taken over 22 different medications. And I sat on my couch for 8 years, feeling sorry for myself. I had not made the mindset shift. And on that couch is where one day I said, there's got to be more than this.
mm,
And I simply felt like I just needed to move. And I started getting up in my driveway and walking around my car. And then I thought, while I was walking, what if I could encourage somebody else? So I started talking on Facebook about my journey of just walking in my driveway, one step at a time, trying to walk away the pain, trying to find something that was going to bring me peace.
mm.
And in the process, I lost 65 pounds. I began to do things that changed my life. I wrote my book, became a best-selling author. There was just
Wow.
so much that happened just from taking those first few steps of faith. And the first time I went out there, I couldn't even make it around the car. I was
Oh,
exhausted. I was sweating. I was scared. I was crying. I went back home in the house and sat back on the couch. The next day, I got halfway around. The day after that, I got all the way around one time.
mm.
Now I can get 10,000 steps walking around that car.
And it's such a practical example because it's something that's just out there. You're not going far. You're right in your driveway or walking around the car. Yet you're making movement, you're making progress, and you're stacking up. I can do this like each day and amazing. And then a
And
best-selling
people
author.
laughed at me, I must say. It was funny because people were like, what are you doing? I could never walk in circles. I said, you could if you had a whatever it takes mentality.
Mm,
See, I was in such a low place that I understood that if I didn't do something, nothing was ever going to change.
yeah.
And that something for me was getting off the couch, walking in my driveway. It was the pandemic.
Yeah.
There was no place you could go. And
Mm,
now it's so a part of my routine to get up in the morning and take that walk that I do walk-in talks and I talk on Facebook while I'm walking sometimes. But the point is that I'm moving. And
mm,
that little bit of movement was the catalyst to get me off of those 22 medications, to get me losing weight, to get me thinking differently, to get me to tap in so that I create the TAPIN method so others could use the 5-step strategic plan that I created
mm.
to tap into their own purpose, power, and presentation on how they show up in this world on a daily basis for themselves and others.
So pretty much the things that you went through yourself, you developed this amazing method. Could you bring us a little bit more into the tap-in method?
Yeah. You know, when I was sitting there, the book was written as a fluke, actually. It was a homework assignment. I was in the Veterans Launching Ventures program.
Mm,
And the one of my coaches said, we should just write a book about it. But it was really a joke, and I didn't know it. I'm a Marine. You say do something, I make it happen. So I wrote a book. And I was like, what do we write about? He said, write about what you know. And I thought, okay. And I like acronyms and acrostics and things like that. So I sat down and thought about what did it take for me to get where I'm at? First thing was each letter in the TAPIN process is 5 letters, TAPIN, stand for one step in the process. The T stands for transformation. The first thing you have to do is transform your mindset. You have to move past your limiting beliefs. I'm actually writing a book about that now.
Wow.
That's one of my next phases. So you start with the T. That's where you make your mindset shift and you transform. The next thing is the A. That's where you announce to the world, I'm in my whatever it takes season, and I'm going to do whatever is required to get whatever it is that you're trying to get. Then there's the P. That's the preparation phase. That's where you do the things necessary so that you can actually make your transformation and get the results that you desire. Because I always say it's important to close the gap between your desires and your reality. You need to prepare for it. Then that's my favorite phase of all. That's the imagination phase. That's where you imagine what your life would be like when you're living your best life and you're creating wealth beyond money, financially, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, in your relationships, in your career or your business. So I want you to dream big and dream bigger than that in that phase. And then that's the final phase. That's the nurture phase. That's where you put it all together and you begin to love on yourself and acknowledge that you have choices and own those choices. If you want to choose to lay in the bed all day long and be mad at the world, I ain't mad at you. If that's how you want to spend your time, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you want to live your best life now, no opportunity wasted, then you tap in to whatever it is you're trying to achieve for yourself, be it weight loss, debt freedom, living a life that you could only imagine, having kids that are mindful, respectful, and grow up to be great human beings, whatever it is, you can tap into it.
Yeah. Wow. That is such an amazing method. I love it. I love all of it. And I definitely love the end part as well, because the nurturing is sometimes so easy for us to forget, because it's partly nurturing ourselves, right? Being kind and self-kindness and love and appreciation for who we are as a person, as a being. And sometimes we neglect that. Don't you find that?
Absolutely. And then the nurture phase is where I want you to celebrate yourself. I want you to celebrate all your challenges, all your resilience, I want you to even celebrate your failures, because it's in the failure that we often find our greatest breakthroughs. And the time that when I was a little girl, my mother used to say, Brenda, you never fail. And I said, but Mom, because I remember I was having this really bad situation with the business and my friends were picking at me. And she said, sweetie, all I want you to do is find another ideal later. And I remember that stuck with me even when I was growing up, that when the doctor says, you're going to live with this chronic pain, you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. And at one point I was in a wheelchair. They said I would never walk again because it had got so debilitating. I was like, I have to find another idea. Like, I know, because I felt like such a failure. But I was like, I could hear my mother's voice, she's gone on now. I could hear her voice saying, find another idea later, sweetie. Just breathe, hear what they say. But remember, you don't have to own that.
Yeah.
That's a diagnosis, not a life sentence.
Yeah. Wow. It's so beautiful how you were able to change that perspective, and you going from letting go of 22 medications, being dependent on that, being in bed, to no, I can get up, I can make a difference. And that contribution that you've given through your books, through sharing your knowledge, it's amazing. You're impacting millions of lives, literally every single day. And I'm just so grateful for you. So grateful.
Thank you. One of the things that I really is important to me is making sure that I am making a difference. I grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs and ministers, people that were geared to soul searching and finding alternative ways and helping people see their divine gifts, because we're all designer originals. And sometimes we forget that. And I think if I could give anything for people that are dealing with chronic pain, is to remind them that they have choices. I know that holistic medicine is so important for a lot of people, but more people should embrace the fact that your doctor should be your partner in your healthcare, not your dictator.
Yeah.
Because, see, I let my doctors dictate what I should do, and I ended up on 22 medications because I was seeing 8 different doctors and nobody was talking to anybody.
No, they
When I
don't.
took control of my life and became my own advocate medically,
Yeah.
I connected all my doctors. I began to ask them, why are you giving me this? And how does what he gives me affects it? I was having rashes and breakouts and weight gain. And when they began to talk to each other, and then I became the manager of my care, we were able to titrate myself off medications. Now I still have medications, but I only have a few, and I take them as needed. I learned what each medication does when I need it. What are the ones that I have to take no matter what? What are the ones that I could take only when needed? When do I need to take them? For a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days, a couple of months. So it took me to self-educate. It took me to get clear that I know my body better than any doctor. And I have a right to say, no, that's not working. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
And that didn't come easy. It didn't come overnight. Being a retired Marine, I was used to taking orders. So I simply did what I was told, not understanding that doctors are practicing physicians.
Yeah.
They're learning as we do. And if we don't stand up for ourselves, you could end up unable to walk or unable to take care of yourself or your family. And that is not the assignment. The assignment is to make sure that we love ourselves so much that we won't let anybody, no demon in hell, tell us that we can't.
I agree. Amen, sister. I love it. I think it's so important to be an advocate for ourselves and to learn, because in each condition, like you said, we are the ones that know our bodies best, but we have to tune into our bodies. Like be able to say, okay, I'm getting this rash out of this, or I'm getting weight out of this medication, or it's affecting me this way. I had to do the same in my journey, and it wasn't easy. And like yourself, having all these different doctors and being the point person to all of them and having to double question them and bring, look, this is the latest research that I found on X, Y, and Z. But it is important because we have to be the CEOs of our bodies and we have to make that choice. I think it would have been very hard for you coming from the Marines to,
It was extremely hard.
gosh.
And one thing I want to say, it just popped into my mind, was that one of the other things I beg anyone that's listening to this, if you or someone suffer from chronic pain, don't compare yourself to other people, and don't let anybody tell you how you should make the choices for your healthcare.
Yeah.
I say that because sometimes even the people that love us can put so much pressure on us to be a certain way. Oh, you shouldn't lay in bed that long, or why aren't you doing this or that?
Yeah.
Don't let other people dictate how you show up.
Yeah.
I pray you don't wallow in self-pity and that you do recognize you have choices. But if you're having a bad day, it's okay to have a bad day. Just don't let the bad day have you.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that will help you maintain and protect your peace. When you're honest with yourself about, check in. How do I really feel today? Am I just giving into this? Can I move a little faster? Do I need to take and throw a pity party? Get the hats, the streamer, bake a cake. I allow myself a 5-minute pity party once a week.
Yeah.
That was kind of my rule for because my pity party used to last weeks on end. And I would just lay in bed and cry and not function. And then I decided it's okay to feel it, but I gave myself a limit on how long I will wallow in that. It became a game, and that was a fun thing. When I find myself sitting in I call it the craziness, the disappointment of pain, because sometimes there's a disappointment with, why can't my body just be normal? Well, it is normal for me. Why can't my body just do this or that? I'm like, oh, I think I need a pity party. So I just throw it on. I set my timer, and I will let myself feel the feels of all of that. And when that timer goes off, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because if I do not do that, that's just me. That might not work for everybody. But what I found was having that time to allow myself to grieve what I felt like I've lost, what I've missed, what I'm not able to do. I'm not stuffing it anymore because, our bodies hold a score. I'm actually working through that. when
Yeah.
that timer's up, now it's time to get down to business. What do I need to do today to make me feel better, to manage this pain, to
Mhm.
move and to show up in a way that is good for me and those around me?
Yeah. I can so relate with that. And I love your little pity party timer on, because it is very easy, even for myself, to have a tough day. Like, here is raining a lot now. We had a beautiful sun this morning. Ireland changes the weather, but it affects a lot our moods. And for me, it affects my body as well, level of pain when it gets colder. But trying to look at the beautiful things that are around when the rain is there, that the plants are getting watered, and also looking at how green Ireland is. I know you've come to Ireland once, and
Yes,
it was really
it's a
green.
beautiful place. And you talk about the rain because people associate rain with sadness. For me,
Mm.
I associate when I was little, I think my grandmother told me that rain was angels crying to clear. And I remember thinking, and it's just the image I have in my head of angels cry for joy when the sun comes out with the rain, or angels crying to clear the sadness. And I, I often think that we don't see the joy in the little things. And when you have chronic pain, sometimes it's hard.
Yes.
And the other thing that popped in mind is for women, when you are a woman and you have a partner, be it a significant other, a spouse, or something, sometimes intimacy can go by the wayside because of
Yeah.
our chronic pain.
Yeah.
And I encourage the women that I work with to learn alternative ways of making love.
Mm.
Because when you have a partner that supports you and you are in chronic pain, because I don't know about you, but sometimes my clothes hurt. And when
Yeah.
that happens, I don't want to be touched.
Yeah.
But it's in those moments that I'm more conscious of my partner's need to be touched.
Mm.
And how do I touch them without physical? It could be in the form of a compliment or acknowledging how beautifully they care for me, even in the throes of pain.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they just need reassurance that they're still wanted. And if you're constantly battling train, you may not be as intimate as often as you would like or as often as they would like. But you have to build those intimate times other ways. And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of my couples uh, talk to me after I've talked to their wives or even their husbands about other ways to create intimacy and how it has improved them. And what it led to was that some of them even found out and discovered that when they're in pain, that the endorphins kick in when they make love and eases the pain,
Mm.
which was something they had not thought about because of the shame and the guilt, which I call smell. You know, shame is I am bad, guilt is I did something bad. I'm withholding myself from my partner, so now I'm I'm being a bad person or a bad
Mm.
partner.
Yeah.
When in fact, if you had the conversation about how do we navigate this when this happens, so that your needs are still met and my
Mm.
needs are met, and neither one of us is feeling pressured. Having those conversations before your flare up hits or before the pain gets so bad where you're starting to shy away and withholding intimacy when you really need it more. Because when we allow ourselves
Mm.
to be loved and to be loving, it will reduce your pain.
Yeah.
And everything is not about physical touch, but that has to be learned behavior.
And thank you so much for bringing that up, because it is a very important point and something we don't discuss much either, and I think the communication is such a big aspect of it, of preparing yourself beforehand, because we don't know how to deal with our own pain most of the time, right? And we're
Right.
trying to get a handle on it. And then think intimacy is like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll leave it back there. But it's also such an important and valid point, because it does bring us closer to our partners, husbands, wives, or whatever it is. But having that dialogue, it's so important. And you feel love, because I
You
know
feel loved.
when my own husband felt in the beginning, of the journey, he also had that grief process going of
Hmm.
how I used to be before, and then how I was reacting. And it took a while for me to understand that, because it was like I was dealing with so much that I couldn't see how it was affecting my husband, my children, the fact that I was living in such chronic pain, or in such a desperate situation. But it took that stop, look, ask, observe, communicate, and then learn from it, and then say, oh, wow, this is how it's affecting you guys as well. And it's not about, you do feel shame a lot of the times, but it's also about holding space. So thanks for bringing
You
that.
mentioned kids too, and think about this for those mothers with chronic pain that fear hugging their own children because it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
I worked with one lady, she just couldn't, and remember, kids, they need that touch. They need that emotional connection. And I began to teach her how to play a game with her kids. And it was one of those things where they gathered and the kids were hugging each other and they played a game. And like they knew to ask, well, Mommy, can we hug today? And she'd be like, not right now, sweetie, but give me a little bit. And she began to move and different things like that. But also the part about when she was feeling good to give extra hugs.
Yeah.
Today's a great hug day. And the kids were like, yay. And so they spent all day hugging and loving on Mommy. And she said she cried for 2 hours one day because her son said, Mom, this has been the best day ever. And I said, well, what happened that day? They had a hug day. She wasn't in pain. And instead of not thinking about how the children receive it, she announced today was a great day for hugs. Everybody, her husband was hugging her kids were hugging her. And what was interesting was that great hug day turned into 4 hug days in a row, something that had never happened before. And that's when she realized that hug therapy was good for her chronic pain. So now they do a lot of hugging, where before everything was hands off.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where there's another lady where that didn't work for her. That just increased her pain. So you have to know what works for you, what works for your family, find alternatives. But the key is to, like you say, pay attention, discover, be open and honest with your loved ones so they can be a part of the journey and not feel left out.
Yes.
Because it's not just you.
No.
Even if you're single, you have friends and associates, hopefully, and bringing others into that journey is so helpful for our mental and emotional well-being as well as our spiritual well-being.
Yeah, because community is another key for healing, isn't it? I mean, we're supposed to be around each other. So I find it really helps me as well to be around my community, even though the first thing that you want to do is isolate. Don't call me, don't be around me, leave me alone. But no, that's the worst thing for us who are in chronic pain. As we're coming closer to the end, Brenda, this has been amazing. What would be your top 3 tips that we can leave with for our listeners?
I would say the top 3 tips would be, number 1 is make your healthcare a priority. No one's going to advocate for you stronger than you. 2 would be to be open and honest and clearly communicate with your loved ones, your family members, your friends, your associates, your workers, because having open communication will make sure that those who are around you can support you in this journey. Don't hide in the schmilt of it all. Trust that you're not alone and let others support you the way you support others. And finally, live in an attitude of gratitude. Vitamin G is the best thing you can take for yourself, because when you are grateful for the fact that although you may be dealing with chronic pain, you can feel it, because there are people that can't feel pain. Yeah. You're still here, and God willing, you'll be here a really long time, and you get to decide how you show up. Because I always tell people the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and choose to self-advocate.
Oh, thank you so much. Brenda, how can people get in touch with you?
You can find me at Brenda the Soulutionist. That's Soulutionist on all platforms.
Awesome. We'll have that also in the show notes. And I am so grateful for this time. Short, but so powerful, so powerful. And I know it's going to bless millions of everyone that take a little time, listen, get in touch with Brenda. If you really need, no, you actually have to get in touch with her about her TAPIN method. I think it would be amazing. Something else to put in the arsenal there so you can continue striving and doing the best you can to live a happy, fulfilled life. Brenda, may God bless and keep you. And until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.
This was the Michele Roy Show.